seeing a helpless animal in danger. Although we're often hardwired to worry about our own safety first, sometimes those biological drives get thrown on the back burner when there's an innocent creature to be saved, especially if it's our pet. Today, let's take a look at 7 amazing times animals were rescued from peril by their courageous owners. Back in 2019, Jose Guzman was attending a barbecue at his parents' home in Pala, California, with his fiancée and their 3 daughters. His young family had just moved into their house close by 2 months prior, and when he was told there was a fire in his neighborhood, he left the family gathering to go see if everything was okay at home. Unfortunately, a massive fire had started in his neighbor's home and spread to his, and though Guzman's family was clear of the blaze, their 2-year-old blue-nosed pit bull, Gabbana, was not. Even though firefighters were on the scene, they had run out of water and were calling on other fire stations to come and assist them. Unwilling to wait any longer and compromise Gabbana's safety, Guzman leapt into the flames to rescue his pup. Both are incredibly lucky to be alive, since the fire was ferocious, destroying all of the Guzman family's belongings, home and 2 cars. An onlooker was amazed, stating, "I thought he was a goner. Those flames were hot, and I couldn't imagine running through those." The Guzmans and Gabbana are all safe and sound, despite their material losses, and thankfully were able to raise over $77,000 on their GoFundMe page to aid them in replacing what was lost. Even though Guzman could have lost his life, and it's probably not a wise decision to jump into a wall of fire, I think it's safe to say we're all glad to see both Gabbana and her owner are okay. We can often be on autopilot, especially while we're commuting. However, lucky for one teensy orange kitten in Oklahoma, one woman was very observant during her journey to work that day. While waiting at a stoplight in 2015, motorcyclist and YouTube user SkidTube noticed that a kitten had fallen out of a passing red car going the opposite direction. Luckily for the kitten, his rescuer was also happy to take him in. After calling her job to say she'd be late, the woman contacted her husband. He brought a proper carrier for the kitten so she could keep an eye on him at work before taking him to the veterinarian. Although no previous owner for the kitten came forward, SkidTube was grateful, stating, "I'm hesitant to release him back, without seeing how this kitten is living. I don't think I could live with myself if I gave this cat back to people who let it end up in the road, in the middle of the busiest road in town." She ended up adopting him permanently and christened the little guy Skidmark. He's grown into a very spunky and rambunctious cat and is still living with his mom and little sister named Rotini. Sometimes, life's little gifts come to us in the strangest moments, if we're ready for them. As SkidTube says, "I think it would be very hard to give away a cat that came into your life like this."
Oh, you poor thing. No.
Sometimes, a completely unexpected turn of events can shift the mood from lighthearted and fun to a horrible race against time. In February of 2021, Jenny Tatum of Murfreesboro, Tennessee, let her 2 dogs, Olaf and Sid, out to frolic in the snow. Instead of turning around and letting them have some playtime, she luckily followed close behind, hoping to capture some adorable moments with her phone's camera. To Tatum's horror, her 50-pound 5-year-old pit bull mix, Sid, slipped and fell into her semi-frozen pool. Immediately throwing her phone to the side, Tatum started by digging in the pool with her arms. and eventually escalated to fully immersing herself in the icy water in a quest to find her pup before it was too late. Tatum said of Sid the dog, "He's never been in the pool. He doesn't like the water," adding that her actions were driven by adrenaline with little thought behind them. "I never thought about my hands getting cut when I was chopping the ice. I didn't think about jumping in the water and me getting hypothermia." Although she was initially unable to find Sid in the pool, since he had gone into shock and sunk to the bottom, Tatum was finally able to spot him beneath the ice. Without knowing whether or not Sid was alive, Tatum rushed him back inside her house, where she discovered he was limp and his mouth was blue. Since none of the veterinary clinics near her home were open thanks to the snow, Tatum was forced to drive a grueling 30 minutes to get Sid the help he needed. Once in an oxygen room at the vet, Sid massively improved, and despite being treated for pneumonia, was able to return home. Tatum is so grateful that Sid is alive and well. He has been her son's best friend since her family rescued him off the street 5 years ago. The vets were impressed with Tatum's quick actions and noted that if Sid had been underwater for even a few seconds more, it would have been a matter of life and death. When in Florida, it's best to avoid the alligators, but in this case, we get to see the stunning heroism that one 74-year-old Florida man demonstrated when his puppy's life was threatened by one. Richard Wilbanks of Estero, Florida, was walking around the retention pond near his property when his 3-month-old Cavalier King Charles Spaniel, Gunner, was snatched by an alligator that had emerged from the water. It all seemed to unravel rather quickly from there. As Wilbanks says, "It came out of the water like a missile. I never thought an alligator could be that fast." Wilbanks followed just as rapidly, diving after the gator into the pond without so much as a second thought. His cigar still trapped tightly between his lips. The amazing rescue was filmed on cameras set up to document wild animals in the area. Though Wilbanks says grabbing the small gator was easy enough, it was prying the reptile's jaws open that took some work. Wilbanks' hands were cut up by the alligator's teeth during the tussle, and he subsequently needed a tetanus shot. Thankfully, little Gunner was largely unharmed, only suffering a minor puncture wound on his stomach. And Wilbanks, recognizing that alligators come with the territory in Florida, does not want the animal removed from the pond or harmed in any way. In his words, "They're a part of nature and our lives." Wilbanks still takes Gunner out near his property, but he keeps him on a leash and gives the pond a wide berth. Most of our clips up to this point have featured lone individuals facing off various dangers to save smaller animals, but not this one. In Bashkortostan, Russia, during the winter of 2020, farmer Sagitsan Aidichulin posted a video to his social media, highlighting the perils of farm life in the dead of winter. Apparently, it is typical for Aidichulin's horses to walk out onto the ice during the winter season, since it's usually 5 feet thick, but in this case, the ice was far thinner than the humans or the horses anticipated. 7 of Aidichulin's horses had fallen through the ice of the frozen pond, and though able to keep their heads above the water, certainly needed some help to escape the frigid trap they found themselves in. Acting quickly, Aidichulin brought his tractor and lifting jib to the scene, and with the help of several other men, the horses were saved from the pond one by one.
Веревку не отпускайте. Сразу снимай! Сразу снимай, все!
Even though the horses, which are the small but hardy Bashkir breed, are used to staying outside in the harsh Russian winters, the combination of the cold water and their own panic at being submerged would have certainly proved deadly if the men had not moved fast. The horses were already in the water for a detrimental amount of time. Thankfully, all 7 of the horses lived, and Aidichulin blames the unstable weather on the incident. Several areas of Russia, Bashkortostan being one of them, have recently seen remarkably milder winters, which leads to thinner ice buildup. This incredible rescue is an inspirational display of teamwork and determination. Although it's hard and somewhat terrifying for us to process, danger can be lurking around any corner at any time. For one 9-week-old puppy named Jasper, one day, danger was just under the bushes in his backyard. In Queensland, Australia, during November of 2020, Michelle Van Schuen and her teenage daughter Michaela let their little puppy out in the backyard to sniff and enjoy the sunshine. As Jasper was minding his business, in the blink of an eye, a deadly carpet python lunged out from under a nearby bush, biting the puppy's ear and wrapping itself around his tiny body. Michelle and her daughter were alerted to the danger by Jasper's yelps for help. Racing out into the backyard, Michelle snatched up a cardboard tube from a roll of wrapping paper, hoping to bat the python off their pet. Michelle notes, "I hoped I could use it to get the python to release him because I initially wasn't keen on approaching bare-handed." However, she soon realized the snake had no intention of letting Jasper go, and seized the animal with her bare hands, hoping to shake it off the puppy. Realizing the python was non-venomous, Michelle turned all of her attention to getting the snake off of her dog, since the situation was a great deal more deadly for Jasper than it was for either her or her daughter. When the pair go out of the camera's view, shadows on the grass show the girls shaking the snake, which finally releases its deadly grip, and Jasper runs free. Little Jasper survived with minimal injuries, and both rescuers were unharmed. Michelle said, "The attack on Jasper has heightened our awareness of the abilities of the carpet python, and now our children understand why we keep our screen doors closed, so we aren't inviting them into our house. It's a good thing the Van Schuens were so close by when the attack occurred, or the outcome could have been very different and far sadder." Usually, when you find yourself ready for a fist fight, the opponent facing off with you is another angry human. However, when 36-year-old Australian Greg Tonkins saw his dog was in danger, he found himself squaring up with a very different species of foe. Back in 2016, while out hunting wild pigs with his friends and dogs in Condobolin, New South Wales, Australia, Tonkins realized that a 6.5-foot tall kangaroo had his cherished hunting dog Max in a headlock.
Go, just there.
Whoa, go, go!
Hey? Idiot.
Come here, Bonnie.
You what?
You're not filming, are you, you big... Let it go, Tonks, let's go! The other dog's coming.
As the man and the kangaroo size each other up, Tonkins decides to punch the animal, landing a right jab to its face. The shocked kangaroo processes what had just happened while Tonkins backs away. Max the dog was unharmed in the scuffle, as was Tonkins and his shocked sparring partner. Though Tonkins received quite a bit of online hate in the years that followed, since many animal activists thought his punching was unwarranted, Tonkins claims he has no problem with kangaroos. He works with the elephants at the Taronga Western Plains Zoo in Dubbo, New South Wales, Australia, and is a self-professed animal lover. They love me, and I love them. Tonkins captioned a recent photo of himself lying down among 3 kangaroos. We guess the lesson here is that you probably shouldn't threaten Max the dog, or you might catch a right hook from his owner.